Welcome to Cord Cutting This Week, number 70, the show where I give you a quick look at some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting right now, and the stories I think will have the biggest impact on cord cutting going forward. If you want to learn more about these stories, in the show notes down below, I'll put a link to each story so you can read about them for yourself. Come up with your own opinions, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It helps us out a lot by letting YouTube know you enjoy what we're doing here, and hopefully we can help you break free from the high-cost cable TV. Now, before we dive into the news, a couple quick deals. Now, I release this on Saturday. Often deals end on Sunday, so don't wait. Make sure you check these videos on Saturday so you don't miss any of these deals. But we have a post with the top 5 cord cutting deals right now that I think are happening for April 2019. I'll put a link to that down below. It includes things like Sling TV for $15 and more. And also, Amazon is kind of clearing out stocks of their smart TV, their Fire TV Edition smart TVs. This one from Insignia is a 50-inch 4K HDR Amazon Fire TV smart TV. So not only are you getting a smart TV, you're getting a Fire TV included with this, basically built into the TV for $249.99. That is a stunningly great price. Highly recommend you check it out. Link in the show notes down below. All right, let's dive into the story, and remember, these are the ones I think from the past week that I think will have the greatest impact on cord cutting going forward. Now, right off the bat, half of cord cutters, almost half, report that they exclusively stream their content. So at the beginning of spring, we surveyed over 3,000 cord cutters from our site, and they answered a bunch of questions. One we asked them is, do you stream exclusively? Do you use physical media antenna exclusively? Do you use a combination? Almost half, 49-point-some%, have said they exclusively stream. This is a huge watershed. My guess is by the time we do this survey again, we may crack 50% and just push over that top there. It is very interesting to see more and more people skipping antennas, skipping DVDs, skipping Blu-rays, and going straight to streaming. If you walked into a Best Buy recently, I don't know about you, but my local Best Buy seems to have really downgraded the DVD section. I know they recently downgraded the CDs and other ones like that, but now DVDs are pretty small. You used to go in there and just have row after row of seasons of TV shows and movies. It really isn't that way anymore. So I'd love to know, I'd love to hear from you. Do you use exclusively streaming, or do you use a mixture of streaming, antennas, DVDs, and more? I know in my household, we even use VHSs. One pro tip here, I talked about this earlier this week, but if you have a local flea market and you want some cheap Disney movies, my wife often picks up $1 VHSs of popular Disney classics. My daughter absolutely loves them. She doesn't care if it's not in HD. It's a Disney cartoon. She could care less. So check that out. I've also picked up full seasons. Like I picked up the entire 5 seasons of Babylon 5 for $20 in my local flea market on DVD. It was a great deal. Highly recommend you check that out. There's a lot out there to still make DVDs great. Of course, Redbox is very popular. But I find for most people, hey, I'm perfectly happy with what I get through streaming. I don't need a physical copy to make that happen. So leave me a comment, let me know. Do you exclusively stream? Is it a mixture? I'd love to hear from you, but keep an eye on that. As streaming grows, people like Roku, Amazon, Apple will continuously get a bigger control over what's happening in the world of entertainment. And it's one more sign of how cord cutting grows. Because I find as people stream more, they're far more likely to become cord cutters. All right, next up, T-Mobile last year announced a, quote, disruptive TV service that'll be coming. And it was supposed to come last year. It got delayed. Well, now we heard our first big news about this new TV service in, it feels like months. But T-Mobile and Viacom have announced a deal to bring Viacom content to T-Mobile's new TV service. This is, to the best of my knowledge, the first major content provider to sign up with T-Mobile's new service. Once one signs up, usually it's kind of a domino roll. It's like, oh, Viacom's doing this. Maybe NBC wants to do it, and others, and they all rush out and they all partner up. So I'd love to hear from you. Are you a T-Mobile customer? Are you excited about their TV service? Unfortunately, we don't know a lot about it. We don't know pricing. We don't know release date. We don't know channel lineup. All we know is T-Mobile says this will, quote, be disruptive. Is that PR talk? Is that not PR talk? They have talked about how this was harder than they expected it to be. So we'll have to keep a close eye on this, but I'm a big fan of competition. Even if you don't want T-Mobile to service, having them in the field will force other companies to become more aggressive. One more serious competitor out there means current competitors have to be more competitive, because it will mean that they'll be able to do, they'll be able to put pressure on them. T-Mobile's hoping that their bundle of having a 5G home internet with their TV service at a disruptive price will be a good deal for you. We'll have to see what happens for that. And let me know. Let me know what you think. Are you excited about these services? Are you sick of all these services? I'd love to hear from you. Next up, one of the biggest complaints about cord cutting is you still have to get your internet from Comcast or your phone or cable company, basically. That's been slowly changing. There's been 5G home internet getting a lot of attention, but there's other ones. Fiber from third-party smaller companies have been coming out. Fixed wireless, which is kind of like 5G, but it's a very different system. The technology on the back end is different. In the end, though, for you, it doesn't really matter. It's high-speed internet over there. Well, there's a new one jumping into this field, bringing competition into home internet, and that's from low Earth orbit satellites. Now, SpaceX, some other companies have been doing this, where they put satellites considerably lower in orbit than current satellites that offer internet. That improves the speed, improves the latency, and often means that you theoretically won't need some of the restrictions that current existing satellite companies have on their systems for their end users. Now, Amazon has announced a plan to also launch thousands of satellites to offer a worldwide network of internet. We don't know speed, we don't know details, we don't know time. SpaceX and I think it was another company out there whose name is escaping me at the moment, have actually launched test satellites into orbit. And according to reports, this system has been very successful in early testing, and that they are prepping up to start launching these satellites to cover the entire world. Why is that important? Well, maybe if you're in a big city, this may not be what you want. Maybe the pricing isn't good. Maybe the speed isn't what you want. In rural America, this is going to be a life changer. To be able to get high-speed internet fast enough to stream Netflix, Hulu, Amazon at a reasonable price, at a reasonable speed, in some parts of the country is still not an option. And in many rural areas, you may only have one provider, if you're lucky, for high-speed internet. Now, to have 2 or 3 satellite options that are actually really usable for cord cutters, that'd be huge. Other parts of the world, which are less developed, this could bring internet to areas where there hasn't been any. Let's say a hurricane comes in and wipes out a good portion of the infrastructure in Florida. With satellite-based internet, you still will be able to get your internet down there, even though it may be the entire area may be rubble. You may be able to communicate with rescuers, let people know where you are, that you need help, and rescuers may be able to use it to be able to coordinate their rescue efforts. So I think this is a huge step. Even if this isn't maybe the perfect internet service, reports I've heard, though, this service should be perfectly fine for streaming Netflix, Hulu. Even some gamers may be able to take advantage of it. But it'll bring competition on cable. It'll bring competition on DSL, 5G, and more. And as we've talked about many times, when there's competition, prices usually go down, speeds usually go up. And more importantly, I'm very excited about this for rural Americans. Open up the cord cutting to all these people who live in more rural areas, which have not been traditionally able to take advantage of cord cutting because they have crazy data caps, or maybe their best internet is dial-up, to be honest with you. There's still parts of the country like that. So keep an eye on this. It's not going to happen overnight, but slowly we're getting more and more competition in the world of internet, which is what we need. The ability to have competition in the world of cord cutting will revolutionize America. The other thing about satellite is the idea that you now have internet anywhere. You buy this base station. I moved a couple months ago. I take this base station from my old home to my new home. It doesn't matter. I don't have to have a company come out, hook up an antenna, hook up a line to dig up my yard to run to the house. So that's great news for cord cutters all around. All right, second to last story of the day. Is cord cutting slowing down? I talked about this yesterday, but I really wanted to talk about it again because this is a very important conversation. Often they'll say, look, only 3 million people cut the cord in 2019 is the argument versus 3.9 million. Anybody who's ever run any type of YouTube channel or website always knows that your growth may overall look like this, but each month it may kind of go like this, up, down, just little wavy lines as it continues upward if you're running a growing channel. And the same thing is with cord cutting. Is the path of cord cutting is continuously going up. And now cable's newest attack is, well, you know, yeah, cable's losing subscribers, but you know, we only lost 3 million, or at least we think we'll only lose 3 million this year. It's kind of like saying, well, you know, the boat's sinking, but sinking slightly slower, so no need to get in that lifeboat, no need to put on a life jacket. Who cares? It seems kind of silly to me, and it is one more attack on cord cutting to undermine the foundation of cord cutting in people's minds. This idea that, oh, well, you know, if cord cutting is slowed down, it probably means I shouldn't bother canceling that cable TV. So my big question to you is, yesterday I asked, were you one of this, quote, silent majority cord cuttings? Because what we know about cord cutting is a vast majority of cord cutters are people who, maybe not the vast majority, but a big chunk of cord cutters are people who never had cable. They never registered on that. They moved out of college and they went that way. Or, like I talked about yesterday, they lived in an apartment with a bunch of people that had cable. They moved out and never got cable. So they never had cable in their name. They're kind of that little hidden number of Americans that cut the cord without ever officially being on the cable registry. My question to you today is, are you one of those people? And how many cord cutters do you think there are? Educated guesses is between 30 and 35 million. I would say that's about right. My other or maybe a better question to you is, how many people do you know that are planning to cut the cord? I know I often hear from people like, hey, in May or in June, my cable contract's up and I'm planning to ditch it. I don't really use it as much anymore. I don't want to pay that early termination. So I'd love to know, are you finding more people are interested in cord cutting or less people are interested in cord cutting right now? Leave me a comment, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And the last story of the day, this one kind of plays into the previous story. 73% of Sling TV, YouTube TV, DirecTV Now, live TV streaming service subscribers say they are very satisfied with their service. This is noticeably higher than Comcast and Spectrum and these other companies' satisfaction rates. My question to you is, how satisfied are you with cord cutting? And the reason that's important is, let's say if cable would ever become the same price, would you go back? Or are you just happier with what you got right now? When I talk to most cord cutters, I find they are overall much more satisfied, and this study proves that. It proves that not only is cord cutting saving Americans hundreds of dollars every year, it's also saving Americans a lot of frustration because they're much more satisfied with this experience versus dealing with their cable company, having to deal with their customer service, their trucks, their equipment, their device rentals, their hidden fees and taxes and more. So my question to you is, what non-money saving reasons are you a cord cutter? I'd love to hear from you. Is it the satisfaction you are? Is it the content you get? Because a lot of this content on Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon you can't get on cable TV. Is that a big part of it? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. But there you go. There are the stories I think will have the biggest impact going forward on the world of cord cutting. I'd love to know what you think of these stories. And again, I'll put a link to them down in the show notes down below if you want to read about them for yourself. If you've been here a while and you like these videos, make sure to ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our weekly, daily, and more videos all about the world of cord cutting. We really appreciate support. That helps us out greatly. I will see you back here on Monday. We'll be at the National Association of Broadcast Trade Show with all kinds of videos. And I do intend to try to do our daily cord cutting tech show also. So I'll see you next week from Vegas at the NAB show floor.